So, you finally made it. Took you long enough. I hope you're ready, because this is it. The beginning of the end. This is the Charred Conclave, a graveyard for druids, burned alive. Cruel rituals. They called it wisdom, but to the people, the druids believed their results would justify the costs. Well, death doesn't always mean an ending. And so you're the closest you'll ever come to seeing. Well, the Red Church and their politicians made sure of that. It's always so. They spoke out. They should have stayed silent, kept to their herbs and potions, but they didn't. They believed their ancient knowledge, ugly and painful, but people don't want the truth. To greet you. I was once where you are now, and here I found my answers. Well, first, you're going to meet my former employer. We don't see eye to eye anymore, but we both realize that he'll try to sugarcoat the hard truths I've been telling you from the beginning, spin them differently. Never mind. Why waste time here talking about it when you're just a step from the end? Just remember, this is the point of no return. Once you step through, but if you've come this far, I suppose you already knew that. Go on. He's waiting for you. Go on.
We meet. I've heard much about you, your choices, your determination. Caradoc isn't easily impressed, but he was impressed with you. Few dare to seek the truth buried in Avalon's shadows. Fewer still make it this far. I was the first. Caradoc followed when my brethren burned and the tear opened. And now, here you are, a truly rare and joyful occasion. What lingers here, it's older than Avalon, older than anything we know. What you see is the beginning of weirdness itself, its purest form, raw potential. Oh, forgive my lack of manners. I am Orin, the last apprentice of Merlin, and the last archdruid of Avalon. I've carried the weight of this land's secrets longer than I care to admit. But names mean little. Oh, precisely the opposite of what Caradoc wants. I want you to help me resurrect King Arthur. Properly this time. Ridiculous, I know. But yes, that's what it boils down to. At some point, we stopped seeing eye to eye and chose different paths. Ultimately, though, both our paths led to you. Yes, please let me. By the end of his life, Arthur became obsessed with his legacy. He left mementos, artifacts that embodied the virtues he wanted Avalon to preserve. Excalibur, a symbol of loyalty and sacrifice. But Merlin and the others didn't believe that would be enough, so they acted. When the king died, his soul wasn't allowed to move on. A clever solution, but ultimately flawed. I tried, and I found his humanity. It's here, bound, kept safe. But the Four Dwellers aspects was left to drift, finding it needed more than magic. The horrors you endured on that island gave you something no one else has. You can move through the weirdness, touch it, and return whole. That's why you found the King's soul, bound it to yourself, and came back. No, the Asylum treated you as a subject. I see you. I can see you're still doubting me. I want to bring back our king, whole and complete. I want him because I've seen what happens without him. Weirdness preys on the weak, and the people are too divided to stand against it alone. Ever they're left without him, without guidance, chaos takes hold. Division festers. If things continue this way, Avalon will tear itself apart long before weirdness finishes the job. Then Avalon falls. Help me bring the king back, whole and Now you need to go further. I made my case. Please keep in mind what I told you. This is the only way for Avalon to survive.
I was there when it all began, when Arthur first set foot on Avalon. I was a knight in his army. We believed in him, in his dream. Every battle felt like a step closer. But then came the cost. The war. We turned from knights into butchers. All because At first I told myself it was necessary. That's when I realized. Arthur wasn't a god, a savior, and no man should have the power to demand such sacrifices. But do you understand why I want it so much? I'd like to believe that after 600 years I've moved past pettiness. You need to understand that people thought and still think, but he wasn't. He made mistakes. I've seen what happens when people cling to kings and myths. But that's not my problem. And what comes after doesn't matter. Let them stand, let them fall. It's not my At least it won't be another king's failure. Another lie propping up a dying... Then let it. If this world can't... Call it chaos, call it freedom, I don't care. I just want to watch it all come down. What comes after? Arthur's the only myth that still holds weight. A puppet king, another Maybe they'll keep pretending for a while. I've lived longer than any man should. Seen more than anyone should ever bear. And we'll never know if that's true, because we've never tried. And who ever said that we were meant to survive We were fools to tamper resurrecting Arthur, infusing him with powers of the... Such violations of nature's order cannot go unanswered. This cannot be allowed. Listen, It's taken longer than I ever imagined, but now, here we are. You've brought Arthur's soul back together, almost complete, so thank you. You're close now. Just one more step. The last fragment of Arthur, and then we'll go. Find the last Go.
You've come. The one who carries what's left of me. Please, don't come any closer. Don't force me to think about coming back again. Just let me finally die. Because I've had enough. Enough of being... Do you know what it is like to be a king of nothing? To see the people you swore to... I've seen towns burnt to the ground. Families. I've been dragged through every dream. Every lie. And most of all, I'm tired of failing. I want really kill me. Destroy the last piece of me, and you just don't let me come back again. He thinks ending me will free Avalon. But what then? People always seek something to follow. Take that away, and they'll tear each other apart. Orin wants a king, not me. He doesn't see the broken man, but symbols aren't people. They're empty. And the more they're used, the more they hot. Do you know what it's like to be a weapon? Let me die. Not as... Another way? There's always another way. But please, not for me. I don't care. Do you know how freeing that is? To finally not feel the burden of all my fate, to not see the suffering my name causes. Isn't that what you've been doing all along? Carrying what's left, doesn't that prove Arthur doesn't need me anymore? Do what you think is right. That's all I can tell. And that, you hold the choice. I don't care who you sign. I don't even want to know. Do what you will with it. Just let me go. Let me finally rest. Let me die. Please. Let me...
Help me bring the king back. Now you need... I made my case. This is the...
Go on. Go on.
Let me...
You carried a dying king across the bones of a dying world. Now you stand before what started it all. An idea. I am the reason there must be an ending. I do not guide. I do not judge. I exist so that something can be chosen. I do not offer meaning. I require that one be made. You have brought all things to their conclusion. Now, decide what must remain. Choose, and let the shape of the world follow. You will be seen. You will shape the world to become its witness. You will break the frame, and what follows, you will vanish into the story you chose to restore. Who do you have in mind? Then the idea shall be claimed, its shape worn, its burden made yours. But first, you have to bring silence to what refuses to be forgotten.
If this is what you want, then take it, my friend. But promise me you will learn from my mistakes.
No, I won't let this happen. Not again.
think any other human could wield this power? I endured 600 years of pain, of suffering, of loneliness. I made the sacrifices, me! And now you think you can take it from me? The hubris. No. I reject your claim. I will reforge Avalon. Perfect this time.
You took Arthur's power for yourself. Whatever drove you, need, ambition, or will alone, the strength of a king was now yours to command. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe nobody ever is. But you decided to try. It's a heavy thing, trying to do right where others have failed. Still, you stepped forward, carrying the soul and every choice that brought you here. You ruled not as Arthur reborn, but as yourself, flawed, resolute, untested. Avalon changed beneath your hand, and history will decide what that truly meant. With One Eye and Captain Brandon working side by side, the South found a peace it hadn't known in years. The roads stayed open, the fields were guarded, and the people finally felt safe. No longer bound to Camelot or the Knights of the Round Table, it became a land ruled by its own people on its own terms. Because of you, the men here remained and the Kuanact endured, not just as a place, but as a legacy of quiet defiance and hope. Lord Yvain was remembered as a hero who gathered the wise and set out in search of the Grail, while Kuanact stood as a peaceful haven amid the weirdness. You awakened the giants, and with them at their side, the Dal Rita conquered Camelot. As the capital fell, the customs of the tribes spread across Avalon. Not everyone welcomed them, but the change had already taken root. Firgas was named the new Galahad the Loyal. With One Eye and Brendan backed by the Dal Rita of the Forlorn Swords, he saw that the South's alliance was strong enough to stand on its own. He urged Camelot to leave the South in peace and turned his attention to securing the rest of Avalon. The captain led the South to independence, breaking all ties with Camelot. Under his rule, the Horns of the South flourished. Merchants, pilgrims, and adventurers returned to the roads, and prosperity once again reached the far corners of the land. One Eye ruled the South, with the Horns of the South at his side. Over time, the Dal Rita of the Fallen Swords rallied to his banner, forging a unified force. With the South secured, he stood in a strong position to launch future conquests across Avalon. Nianta left Kuanact with Yvain, and her fate remained unknown. Yet among the people she once served, tales of her devotion and courage endured, and her name was remembered with respect. Magat left Kuanact alongside Yvain, surprising many who had long considered him harmless and weak. His fate remained unknown, but in time, the people spoke proudly of the last druid, claiming him as one of their own. Urfre left Kuanact alongside Yvain, despite concerns about his age. His fate remained unknown, but the people admired him for finding purpose at the end of his life. and spoke of him with lasting respect. Ailey turned to the merchants for support, and for a time the hospital prospered. But when they began charging patients for care, she walked away and opened her own small practice, refusing to serve profit over healing. With Helmi as the new matron, the Volca returned to their former glory with renewed ferocity, their berserkers filled with an aggression that stirred quiet fear among the other tribes. Among the united tribes of the Daorita, the Volca were treated with equal parts awe and mistrust, seeming to teeter closer and closer to madness. Ingui turned away from the eternal sleep, choosing life over dreams. In time, she began to rebuild the Thoid among the living, planting the first seeds of a new future for her scattered people. Under Strona's leadership, the Ulfra found new strength. He rebuilt the tribe and reunited them with the rest of the Dal Rita, restoring their place among the tribes of the Forlorn Swords. With the Stagfather slain and the old bonds broken, Balaam led the Svine towards a new path. He opened the tribe to the other clans of the Dal Rita and guided them to settle in the Mather mines. You made a pact with the Four-Dwellers, freeing them only once they agreed to leave behind their knowledge. One was lost to madness, but another fulfilled the promise, placing a stone woven with the song at the feet of the Stone Wardens. Through it, the craft survived into a new age. After returning to Camelot, Killian lived quietly for a time. When he vanished, few asked questions. Unsettling rumors had always followed him, and most preferred not to remember. O Queen Cinnamon Sage never forgot the bond he shared with you. Proud of the path you chose, he built a small shop near your grave, and in quiet moments, still spoke to you as he once did. A friend loyal beyond the bounds of life.